Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
I'm Lyssa's Lizards.
And we're your reptile girlies. So, what's kind of interesting about this episode is I had breakfast before I came over.
Oh, I did not.
Usually, if you guys don't know this, but we usually record in the evenings.
Yeah, almost always.
But this is actually Saturday morning we're recording, so it's very bizarre for me
weird.
To get ready to get my notes, to eat cereal, and then come over.
It's also very weird as somebody who both my husband and I work from home, me to have makeup on before 10 a.m. is wild.
Yeah.
I never do that.
But why are we recording at 9:30 on a Saturday?
Unfortunately, but fortunately, it's all good things, good reasons. But I am traveling the next 2 weekends, including this weekend. I'm actually, after we get done recording, about to hop on a plane. So
we gotta get ahead a little bit. And this is the beauty of having pre-recorded episodes is we have the flexibility of being able to record an extra one or move what day and time we record versus all of our fellow podcasters who do live streams, and you're kind of at the mercy of the schedule.
Live streams are so cool, but no, all props to the people who live stream because they have the dedicated times of I am live, I am on.
Yeah.
No. I cannot.
You're I got a flight to catch right
Literally, now. Our schedules are so crazy sometimes. We usually are very good about, we have one day every week that we always try and record. But, when things get crazy, I have a lot of travel. Sometimes you have a lot of travel. Sometimes, things can just, pop up. And, we can't commit to every single week at a certain time.
No.
No, there is no way. It's so the amount of times that you and I have to be I can't do it this week. We got to figure out an extra day, or we got to have a backup.
Yeah. Or just
all the time.
We've had times where we weren't feeling great either.
That too.
Right? Not even logistics. You're just not in a good spot to be
that's happened
recording
more often than I would like to admit.
Throwback to the October episode where I was not good.
Probably shouldn't have recorded that day.
But we waited. We tried. We waited a whole extra week so I could get my voice back, and even then it was a little rough.
Beauty of pre-recording. But I'm very excited. I am about to hop on a plane to Colorado. I'm going to go see my little brother. So he is graduating from college, and so we're going to go hang out with him and do that whole thing. It'll be very fun. But I'm in my airplane fit today, which I'm very specific about my airplane fits for the most part. I always wear my leggings. I always wear a sports bra tank top with a pullover so that I can take it off.
Yeah, in case it's too cold or too hot.
I did not grow up very much like a travel kid, and so I have only recently learned all the airport stuff.
This is so funny to me.
Because you were such a travel kid.
All my family lived out of state.
Yeah, all my family
out
was
of state,
in-state.
out of states, plural. Different time zones
across the country.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy. So my family was all in-state. So we were a big road trip family. So I never really learned airport etiquette and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've just now in the last 5 to 8 years been okay, this is what I wear to the airport.
What you guys aren't seeing is she's wearing high top Converse right now.
Yes.
How long do those take you to get on and off though?
Oh, that's a great point.
Because I'm immediately going through security and looking at those shoes being
that's a fabulous point. I will probably change these shoes after that. That's a great
tips from the pro who looks at high top Converse and is no.
But they're cute and they match my shirt.
They absolutely are adorable. But if we're looking functionality.
No, you're absolutely correct. This is why we joke often that you are our efficiency manager. And this is true.
Yeah. But I'm also very strategic on the shoes I wear to the airport. I will pack those.
Yeah.
The adorable, cute high top that are going to take me 10 minutes to put on shoes. I just won't wear them at the actual
fabulous point. I put them on without really thinking about it. And this is why I'm not good at travel. So
See?
But I do like to travel. And I feel we're coming up on summertime. And
yes.
I certainly have a lot of travel happening in the next month or two. A lot. So
I currently don't have anything until August.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Not to say something won't come up, and I do want to like plan something, but it brings up the question of like, what are some of our favorite like summer activities?
Yes. Summertime, there's so much to do. There's so many more things. I personally feel like I come alive in the summertime, which is very fun.
You're like solar powered.
No, 100%. I am absolutely powered by the sun, for sure. But there's just so many things to do, and for me, traveling is one of my favorite things to do in the summer. And I'm not a big traveler, like I said. I don't love traveling. When I get like out of my home environment and out of my like routine, I get very stressy and very anxious. But once I'm like in the car or on the plane, I will have the greatest time.
Oh yeah, it's just the prep.
It's the prep work.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. We've got like a couple trips coming up with family. We have a trip with Logan's family, trip with my family that's not yet planned, which is very on brand.
Very on brand.
Very on brand, but whatever. Then I've got like, I'm going to another like trip next week. I've got this one this weekend. So it's just like,
a lot.
I feel like summer is for travel, like for the most part. Like a lot of people do a lot of different things in the summertime. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
No, this is good. One of my favorite activities is actually bringing Ember places.
Yes.
So my dog, she is also solar powered.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Girl can hang in the heat and in the
so
sun.
Can Campbell. Like,
yeah.
They just love to like lay around on
She'll
the concrete.
She'll just be outside and
baking.
It's hot and she's just like roasting.
Baking
living
in
her
the
best
sun.
life, not even panting. So I love taking her. This is a big thing when I got her as a puppy to like train her so that she does really well in like social settings. So there's like an upcoming art festival that I'm like looking forward to bringing her to.
I'm literally so upset that I'm out of town for that weekend. Ugh.
Next time.
I know.
Traveling to see family and friends was also on my list.
Big.
So like I'll get something on the books, probably something in July, and then I got a wedding in August.
Oh,
so
I forgot about your wedding.
Yeah,
That'll
I'll be
be really
going
fun.
to that. Doing yard work, which I feel like is such like a...
That's such an little old lady comment.
Yes.
But I also wrote down gardening on mine.
But like being a homeowner and like in the winter time, everything's dead.
Yes.
It's brown, it's crispy, it's also freezing cold outside. So like
ugly.
I don't want to be outside. And one of my favorite things to do is to put like a tank top, shorts, like a ton of sunscreen, a big old hat on, some gardening gloves, and just like
go
to town. Yeah, and just like do some yard work, like trim my bushes, pull the weeds.
There's something like so mentally stimulating about that kind of work. And I'm learning that now because I just set up like my herb garden. And so I'm very excited to like, I have some peppers going. I've got some beans going.
That's more
I got
exciting
some
than
herbs.
trimming bushes.
I'm very excited.
But there's like a sense of pride,
100%,
right? Of like when I can look at my yard and be like, wow, like I did that. Not to mention I'll like start my Apple Watch and it'll be like, you burned 800 calories.
Right.
And I'm like, cool, don't need to go to the gym.
Love that. Love that.
That was my workout for the day. But
yeah. Well, so this one's kind of random and it's very specific to me. It has nobody else really will have this thing. But I have this one thing that I like to do every single summer, at least once or twice. Where I'm from, where my parents live still, there is the cutest little snow cone shack.
Oh.
And this snow cone shack has existed since I was in like elementary school.
Back when dinosaurs roamed the land.
This is like a 20, 30-year-old snow cone shack. And it is at a gas station right across the street from the middle school. So when I was in middle school, we would always walk across the street after school, get snow cones. Our parents would give us, $3, $4, $5 to like get a few snow cones after school. And we would sit there and wait for our parents to pick us up from the snow cone stand.
Stop. That's so cute.
And so it's only open from like May, I think, until like maybe September.
Okay.
So it's only like the last month of school that we got to like do that. And it was like you waited for it all year. It was like your favorite thing. So anytime I go home to visit my parents, I'm always like, all right, what are the snow cone stand hours? I got to go get my flavors. I have 3 flavors that I prefer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not even a big snow cone person. It's like this snow cone place.
Well, now I got to go.
I know. I don't know how I haven't taken you there yet. We've got to go.
So what are your flavors?
So they have a crazy list of flavors.
Oh, of course.
Because they've been doing this for so long and their flavors are so unique. And the shaved ice is like, the texture is just perfect.
Oh, I know this has to be top tier for you to like it.
It's not like the crunchy ice. It's like the softest shaved ice.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my favorite flavors, 2 of them are pretty basic, but cherry limeade, because, and let me be so for real, this is not the kind that is like too much cherry flavor, because that is a thing with cherry limeade. This is
cracking up right now.
It is pink. It's not red. It's like not aggressive cherry. It's fantastic. It's so sour.
Checks the boxes.
Anyway,
love it.
Then cherry cola, which is also not overpoweringly cherry, which is fabulous. And then the third one is the weirdest one, and I don't even know how to describe it well, but it's called Rain.
Oh.
And it is
it blue?
It's like a very light blue.
Okay.
But it is this like light, refreshing flavor. It literally tastes like just a drizzly day. It is fantastic.
I always like the tiger's blood.
That's always good.
It's such a bizarre snow cone flavor.
This made me think of one that they have. They have tiger's blood for sure, and it's very good. And it's such a bizarre flavor. But very similarly, they have one that's called Smurf in a blender.
Stop.
And it's red raspberry and blue raspberry.
That's horrible.
I used to get that one all the time.
Tiger's blood is one thing. You're imagining a little vial of tiger's blood. Smurf in a blender immediately is a very graphic image.
I know.
And your target audience is 8-year-olds, and you decided to name it Smurf in the blender?
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Papa Smurf? Not Papa Smurf.
Not Papa Smurf.
Oh no.
Oh my God, I'm crying. I completely forgot about that flavor until
they could have named that so many other things besides Smurf in a blender.
I know. But it's a good one.
Blueberry in a blender. I don't even know.
But then it wouldn't have the blood, the red. Anyway.
I don't like it. Maybe I'm boycotting this snow cone stand now.
Oh my gosh. But anywho.
I do like tiger's blood though. It's one of my favorites.
True. It is so good. But I have to take you to the snow cone stand the hours are very specific. Like they close by
I'll clear my schedule. I don't care.
Like the amount of times that I've gone out to my parents' house and I'm like, ooh, I want to run over to the snow cone stand, and they're closed. I have literally cried a couple of tears before because I've been very sad about it.
Not Smurf tears though.
Not Smurf tears. No. But that's truly one of my all-time favorite things. Like I think since middle school, my brain has been wired to be like, it's May.
It's snow cone season.
It's snow cone season.
No, I'm always like a big Dairy Queen was really big for my family. So like summer equates to like Dairy Queen season. Yep. Another one that I always love to do is just like hang out by the pool.
Yes.
Like pool season is upon us.
Yes.
Sunscreen. Don't forget your sunscreen.
Absolutely never.
Protect your skin. Mm-hmm. But I love a good pool day. Mm-hmm. Like
I'm gonna be using your pool this summer. I've only been like at your pool like a few times in the summer just because summers are usually so busy. But like I'm making it a priority this year because I'm gonna need some pool time.
Do it. I also have been working hard in my backyard this year, so it's like
exciting.
Prime for pool season. Exciting. But yeah, I love just like I'll make like virgin pina coladas, right? And I'll like hang out by the pool and like drink one of those, or like a smoothie or a slushie or whatever, and just like hang out. It's the best.
Oh, that's so lovely. The only other one that I had on my list was you already brought up with the dogs. I literally told Logan yesterday when I was thinking about this, I was like, I feel guilty that Campbell doesn't get to travel with us this summer, which is crazy. But like, I feel like a lot of dog people can relate. I just get like very sad that he can't come with us. So I like want to have the priority of like, I want to take him on some adventures. I want to go on some new trails.
Take Ember on adventures was literally the first one I had on my list. So
yes, it's very important. Like we get to go on adventures. We need to take them on some adventures too.
I'm on board with that. And if we want to do a puppy play date,
100%.
you just let me know.
100%.
We'll be there.
They get along so well. It makes me so happy.
It's true. But like I knew.
I know.
When you brought Campbell home, I'm like,
he's a good one.
Yes.
He's going to get along with Ember real well.
They'll be buddies, no problem. Okay, so the reptile focus segment that we're going to be talking about with summertime, with warmer weather, is like, what does it look like taking your reptile outside and exposing them to natural UVB, right? What are the benefits? What are the risks? And like, what are precautions, things that you can do to like take advantage of that, but then also make sure that your reptile stays safe?
Oh, of course. And I mean, as we all know, like UVB is incredibly like not only beneficial, but essential for certain species. Like it's fantastic, but natural UVB, there's like nothing like it.
Yes.
So I always try to do that in the summer. I think weather is a very important one in terms of like the sunlight and how hot it can get?
Yes. So it may be more springtime, depending on where you live. It may be late
early
summer,
fall.
you know, depending on where you live. One thing to be mindful is your species and the temperature requirements.
Very important.
So like some species are going to be totally fine in the 70s and others would be totally fine in the 90s, whereas others would not be fine in the 90s and others would not be fine in the 70s. So you have to be mindful of like what your species requires and the temperatures. I also think it's incredibly important to learn the science of heat stress.
Oh, yes.
I don't think people realize that like heat stress is a thing, but it's basically when your reptile gets too hot. And it's not like a burn that we've like talked about before of like a thermal burn of like a very like pointed source of heat.
Concentrated heat.
Under a prolonged period of time. This is like their whole body is overheating. So I really only know the science of heat stress in chameleons, but they'll get like a super, super light color. Like I remember Neptune's first year, I brought him out on my balcony of my apartment and he turned yellow. Like bright yellow. And me being a naive reptile keeper, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I was like taking all these pictures and videos of him because he literally was like neon yellow. And then he was like gaping. And then he was like going down to the bottom of like the little tree I had on. And then I learned after the fact that like literally all those things are a sign of heat stress. So like gaping is a way for them to thermoregulate and like cool their body temperature. And then obviously moving lower.
And I would say that for lizards, that's pretty across the board with like opening their mouth and like and the gaping. Because Nilla has definitely done that before when I've put in, you know, different heat bulbs, and there was at least one time that it was too hot, and I noticed because I had like tested it and it seemed fine, but then once I like set up the thermostat a little bit better, I was like, oh yeah, that's not too hot. And so gaping is very much like a big one. Snakes, honestly, I'm not sure. That's a good one. I should probably do a little bit of research. Yeah. So if you know more of like the stress signals in them, let us know in the comments. Very curious. I'm just always very particular about I personally never take any of mine out if it is more than like 92, 93 degrees.
I'm like 80 max. But for chameleons, right? Chameleons, like 80, 85. And that would be like if I have shade, then I would put them in that temperature.
Same. So like if it's like 90 to 92, and as long in my personal backyard, I've got a really big tree. So the majority of my backyard is shaded. So like I would put them in the shade, but if it's higher than like 90, 92, I won't even consider it. Honestly, even 90 to 92 is like pushing it. I really prefer it if it's like 85 and lower. That is the ideal temperature. But if I really want to get them some natural, you know, UVB, specifically with the snakes, I've taken Hazel out like after she's eaten, like she's kind of digest, but not fully, when she could use a little bit of, you know, a little bit of warmth. I've taken her out, but that's because she can tolerate up to like 95 plus degrees. So
makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Yes. Yeah. So briefly, we can talk about the benefits of UVB. So in captivity, we provide our reptiles with artificial UV, right? That's going to be their linear UVB bulbs so that their body can process and synthesize the D3 and absorb the calcium and everything else that goes with it. But the sun produces natural UVB along with like a bunch of different light rays. We've got like UVA, UVB.
Yeah.
A ton of different ones.
IRA. There's all of the different.
You said that and my brain went, IRS? What?
Our taxes? What do you mean?
A Roth IRA? What are you talking about? But like they can get it naturally, right? And so there's nothing better if you're in a scenario where your UVB bulb burns out, you're in a place financially where you can't, you know, afford a UVB bulb for your species, whatever, like taking them outside can actually be like a good in-between step while you're like working through that. So I recommend that to keepers where if it's the right time of the year, then they can bring them out. But there's no disadvantage to having natural UVB. There's no maximum amount of time that they would be able to do it. When I take mine outside, they're usually like an hour, 2 hours max. I'm like,
I really don't like to leave them out long. That's not like a long time.
Yeah.
I would say max 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah. And there's people who do keep their reptiles outside for like majority of the year.
Yeah. Our Florida friends.
Yeah. California also does that. Mm-hmm. That's not something either of us have experience with. No. So like we're not the right people
we're not gonna
to talk about that.
We won't be offering that advice.
No, just know that like
details.
that if you do live in an area that you think would be suitable for your species, like it may be worth talking to some like local reptile keepers to see if they have any advice or something.
100%. No, I think that's always great. One thing that I have experienced personally, and I feel like this is kind of the topic of like apartment versus house.
Oh, yes.
So like depending on where you live, what your living situation is, because I certainly know I've kept reptiles in apartments. I've kept reptiles in a townhouse. I've now kept reptiles in a house. So like I've had all the different options. I haven't always had a backyard that I can take my reptiles out to. That's not something that everybody has access to and like well aware of that. So some things that I've done in the past when I lived in a townhouse with a roommate, we had like no backyard, no nothing. We didn't even have like a balcony or anything that I could use because in the past I know in apartments some people will use their balcony, things like that, which
that's what I did.
Great options. But I didn't even have access to that, so I had nothing. And so there was a park that was walking distance from my house.
I know the park. Yep.
You know the park. So I would take, and I do have these, like not to plug my Amazon storefront, but I do have a couple of these in my storefront, but they have these mesh kind of like enclosure type situations, and it's almost like a little playpen for like a small animal, right? And so they have some that have that aren't totally enclosed. They have some that are literally like a kid's playpen where it's just like a mesh pop-up and it's totally open air. But then there are also some for, you know, any animals that can climb, snakes, things like that. There are also mesh enclosures that are totally encased and totally enclosed, but they can still get the benefits of natural UVB. It is still like all mesh open air. And I think those situations when I would take them to the park, I like took Nilla to the park a couple times. I definitely took Hazel at least once or twice. And you can put them in those. And then that helps kind of just make sure that like they're somewhat contained and they can't run off because reptiles be fast sometimes.
Yes. So this was on my list of like precautions, right? So the heat stress and temperatures was one thing.
Super important.
But also predators and then your reptiles running off. So going on that one for a second. Do not underestimate how quickly a reptile can move.
If they choose to bolt, they will bolt.
The sheer amount of reptiles that have been lost.
Yes.
Like to the wild.
Yes.
Because they were outside. And even though they were supervised, which is our number one thing, like they need to be 100% supervised.
Always.
Is the owner will like look away or go run inside and like refill their water, grab a book, whatever. Yep. They come out and their reptile is gone. Like nowhere to be seen, or they climbed up the tree that they were on to a point where they can no longer reach them.
Yep.
That happens a lot.
Terrifying.
Like it happens a lot.
Yes.
So please
especially
take precautions.
All of our beardy friends, they're fast. Okay. I've seen crazy videos of beardies running insanely fast. Please make sure that they're in something.
Chameleons can move quick too. I know they look like they move a little slow.
They're slow, but they'll surprise you.
But when they get going,
they'll surprise you.
They've got some speed behind them. So there's that piece of it, but then also predators, right?
100%.
So in the park situation, it makes perfect sense to have them enclosed because you're going to have, you know, potentially people walking their dogs,
right?
Or people, or just natural predators.
Yes.
Birds being like probably the number one predator for most reptiles.
I certainly know my neighborhood's got a lot of crows. So we've got a lot of vultures, all kinds of things going around.
And if you have like falcons, I'm talking like big birds of prey, is it even worth it?
No.
Is it even worth it to take your reptile outside?
Yeah.
That's a big question you have to ask.
If you know that that's like a thing, if you have seen them in your yard, if you like, I would just
if I lived somewhere that had falcons, birds of prey, I have very small birds, very little birds. Now, still a risk, absolutely, but like my chameleons typically are bigger than most of the birds that are like in the surrounding area. So it'd be very bizarre for one of them to just like swoop in and try and get my chameleon.
My parents have falcons near their house, and my mom has 2 tiny little like Chihuahua rat terrier puppies. and she only takes them out on a leash, and they have a big yard with like lots of room. But they don't let those dogs run around.
No, it takes one time. Yeah.
Well, and one of them's a freaking runner. She's crazy. But
you know the Proposal, the movie with Sandra Bullock?
Oh,
and the bird like comes and takes her like
my God, I forgot about
and she's
that.
like, take the dog. She's like, oh look, they're playing.
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Like that. Don't do that.
That makes me miss Betty White. Oh,
that's an excellent movie.
That's an incredible movie. Oh, we love that movie. Anywho, but
From the wall.
Yeah,
From the wall. You can fill in the blanks.
Yeah, we're not saying the rest.
Excellent movie. Please go watch it.
Yes.
But like the predator thing is so real.
So real.
So if you have large birds of prey, like even if you have them in a little mesh enclosure or a temporary enclosure, like that is so not worth it. Especially when we do have artificial UVB. Okay, like natural UVB is a nice to have. It is not a have to have. It is not a life or death situation. It is a way to think of like
it's enrichment.
That was the perfect word. Yes. Enrichment, right? Of like increasing quality of life. They get natural fresh air, fresh sun. Like it's absolutely fantastic if you have that ability to do it.
But not everybody has the ability. Don't go out of your way.
No.
Don't put your reptiles in harm's way in order to get it. It's not worth it.
Yes.
Yeah. By now you've heard us talk all about Scratches, the social app that helps exotic pet owners like us find their people.
You can add photos of you and all your scaly babies, set your filter to reptiles, and start scrolling through your local pet parents who get it. Think of Scratches as your way of avoiding the ever-looming "so do you have any pets?" question. Whether you're looking for friendship, romance, or someone who can pet sit your critters, your community is just a new match away.
Download Scratches today and start connecting with reptile keepers in your area. Available on iOS and Android.
We're so excited to introduce the Reptile Girlies to our favorite reptile-friendly coffee and tea brand, Cold Blooded Caffeine. Our favorite thing about them is that they donate 5% of all their proceeds to wildlife conservation to ensure reptiles and amphibians have a place to call home in the wild, as well as in our homes.
And if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with herbal teas. So for any of our fellow tea lovers, they source some of the highest quality loose leaf teas in the world.
Cold Blooded Caffeine offers a wide variety of coffee like their Rainforest Blend, single origin options, and collaborations with some of the biggest names in the reptile world.
For 25% off your first order, use code WILDTYPE at coldbloodedcaffeine.com. Hey girlies, we are so excited to share that the Pangea Reptile team was nice enough to hook up our podcast listeners with some discount codes for some of their top products. The first code is ECO-Girlies, and it gives you 20% off of their brand new Eco Silicone food dishes in any color.
The second code is Wild-Watermelon, which gets you a free sleeve of small biodegradable cups with the purchase of watermelon-flavored Pangea Gecko Diet. The last code is Wild-Halogen, and is for anyone who purchases any Reptile System Eco Halogen bulb, because then you'll get 20% off a 2-pack replacement filament.
All of these codes will be listed on the screen and are limited to the first 100 customers who use it. So
one thing I do for my chameleons, or really any arboreal species, is I have like a fake tree that I use. If you have heard our Gotten Lucky episode, make sure your tree is supported so the wind doesn't knock it over. But I do that because I would not put my chameleon on any of my like natural plants or bushes that I have. No. And I certainly wouldn't put them on the tree. And that goes to kind of like the risk of things that are potentially being like sprayed or carried, or like if an animal, like a wild animal, like peed or pooped on that, and then your reptile's like walking all over it. So like by having a set thing either for them to climb on or in, some people use like kiddie pools, especially for like their turtles or tortoises, stuff like that.
Also, I don't know why I didn't throw this out when I was saying like the mesh like setups. You can also definitely get some like screen enclosures if you want to. That's also a great option and a little bit more sturdy and a little bit more protective. So sorry, that literally just popped into my brain. And I just wanted to throw that out there. But I forgot where I was going after that.
No, but being mindful of like the grass that you put your reptiles in, if there's like anything that potentially be sprayed. If you go to a park, you probably don't know what it's being.
That was another reason I would use the enclosure.
Sprayed with, you know, and just like be mindful that anything that you put your reptile on, they have the ability to climb up or off of it.
Yes.
Supervise.
Yeah, always supervise. But yeah, when it comes to, so for example, like snakes, obviously snakes, they can climb. You can bring like sticks or trees or stuff. But for the most part, when I take my snakes out, I put them in the grass, right? Like, so I always make sure last summer, I did this a couple times, and you clean up your dog's poop, get rid of that.
Yep.
That's number one. But also make sure that, don't use, like you were saying, the chemicals and stuff. I think that's really important with grass. If you're managing your own grass and if you plan to have your reptiles out on said grass, you need to just make sure that you're not using anything that is any pesticides.
Smart. Yeah, take precautions.
Stuff. Yeah, I know Roundup is like a big one that is like very potentially dangerous. So
yeah. So you guys have it. Let us know your tips and tricks if you've ever taken your reptiles outside. Maybe you're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. Just be smart about it. Yeah. Okay? Take precautions, supervise them, be thoughtful, think of things up above as well that could potentially be risk. And let your little reptiles get some enrichment.
And just another tip also, we've discussed this in a previous episode about like other animals around. If you have like dogs and cats and whatnot, like
put them inside.
They're inside while the reptiles are outside. Just sorry, that popped into my head as well. I was like, hold on.
Please.
Need to clarify that.
I feel like I assumed that, but always good to say it out loud.
Yes. It's like we're talking predators. That includes your other pets.
It absolutely does.
Yes.
And your children and anything with little grabby hands.
Yeah. 100%. It also popped into my head. I'll never forget Campbell's face. I had Tarzan out, I think last summer in the yard at one point, and Campbell was sitting at the door and he was just like, because he's such an outside puppy. He loves being outside on the back patio. And so he was so mad. He was like, what's going on? Why are you out there? And why am I not allowed?
Campbell thinks he's an only child, but he's not actually. He has like 10 siblings.
He's not. He has no clue. He has no clue.
He needs to share the yard.
He just thinks they're like the mysterious creatures that live upstairs.
Yes. Little does he know they were there before him.
Yes, they were.
Awesome. Well, to wrap us up, I put a Q&A on the podcast Instagram, if you don't follow us already, at the Wild Type Podcast. And it was a Q&A, and I forget exactly how I worded it, but it was something along the lines of like, what is a reptile keeper like milestone or accomplishment that you're proud of?
We all have them. They're super important.
And I think a lot of times we are so hard on ourselves for all the mistakes we've made, all the things we would have done differently.
All the stuff we haven't done yet.
Comparing ourselves to other keepers.
Or our past selves.
Yes, whatever it is. And it can be so hard to like beat yourself up and like forget about the wins and these milestones that like you accomplished that one day you had hoped to get to that point. And so I thought it'd be so like warm and fuzzy just to share them with everyone.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do.
It makes me so happy.
Okay, wonderful. So the first one, and if you guys can't see, I like printed these so teeny tiny.
They're so teeny tiny.
Squinting, it's because one, I don't have my glasses, and two, I made them way too small. But it says, getting my tokay gecko to let me hold her without biting.
That is huge.
Yes.
Props to you. Anybody who knows anything about tokays knows.
Yes.
We are so proud of you.
That takes so much perseverance.
So much perseverance.
Because that means that you've been holding her
constantly
while getting bit.
Yep.
Right? And have just been like
taking it.
Powering through.
Good
building
for you.
That trust.
Big deal.
Fantastic. This one says, I just marked 1 month with my Panther Chameleon and I've enjoyed every second.
Oh, well, you got several more years to come.
This is Gator the Chameleon. So they actually bought my chameleon kit and have been like posting all these videos and tutorials of them like building their enclosure and then getting him, and he's just like shedding for the first time. So it's been really cool to kind of like
that's so sweet and special.
See that journey and excitement that comes with like those milestones.
I love that.
This one says, my current leopard gecko outliving my past was monumental.
Wow, that's actually so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so like bittersweet.
It absolutely is.
But also like very special because like we've all been there. We've all like, had animals pass too soon and things like that. And so once you get to the point where you've figured it out and you've kind of learned from your mistakes and like figured that warms my little heart.
Yes. Yeah. It is bittersweet though, for sure. Because then you look back and you're like,
what
probably could have done differently. But you're taking that learning and like using that for the next one. Absolutely. Yeah. Breeding an endangered species and sending some to the wild of Venezuela.
Wow. We love that for you and for just conservation in general. That is
Isn't
so
that cool?
Oh,
we've talked about this, right? The pros and cons of like having reptiles in captivity.
This is one of them.
But the pro. I said pros and cons.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
This is for sure a pro, though. Yes. Like an endangered species.
That's huge, dude. Oh my God.
Isn't that sick?
Oh my God. I'm like going to tear up. That's the sweetest thing. Oh,
that's what it's
so
all about.
Cool.
That's what it's all about. Ugh. Okay, this one's good. Perfect sheds when they choose to hang out with you and showing natural behaviors.
All of those things. All of those
things just like
so
warm
special.
Your little reptile keeper heart.
That's so special. We love to see it.
Especially the perfect snake shed.
Yeah,
right?
That's huge.
With the eye caps.
And as
all
somebody,
in one piece.
As somebody who has a scaleless corn snake who never sheds correctly, that is such an achievement. Anytime I get a good one from him, I'm like beyond excited.
Yes.
He's currently not
and
having
a little trophy,
good one. Yes.
Right?
He's currently in his enclosure and he's already ripped it up. And I'm like, dang it. Happens every time.
Yeah, the natural behaviors I think is a really big one.
Yes.
Being able to display that.
And it's so cool and I don't know if this person got to experience it this specific way, but like if you've had them not in as much of like a natural setup and then you move into a more natural setup and you start to witness the behaviors that you didn't see before. I think that's what they're talking about. So cool.
Have you seen that with Nessie?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Big time. When she got the halogen bulb, she like very much like perked up, more energy, like all that, lots of different things.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Just seen my leopard gecko grow into the perfect healthy boy.
Oh, we love that.
Just when you know you're doing it right, you know?
Oh,
their weight looks good, their eyes look good, their appetite's good, their behavior's good.
For leopard geckos, their tail is chunky, but not too chunky.
But not too chunky.
Not too chunky, but the perfect amount of chunk.
Yep. Okay, getting my leopard gecko on a naturalistic loose substrate.
Oh, we love that. That is such a milestone, especially if you kind of started out in the reptile keeping side of things from like the big box chain pet stores or like started out on reptile carpet, started out with paper towels, like whatever the case may be. Like that is such a big milestone moving to loose substrate, especially given the stigma that loose substrate has had in the past.
Yes. Or like loose substrate has been a big no-no, but really it was because there were other health issues that were going on. So if you're able to successfully keep your reptile on loose substrate, it is a testament to proper care.
100%.
Yeah. Fabulous.
We love it.
Vending my first show and finding all of my geckos great homes.
Wait, that's so we love our breeder friends. This is so sweet.
And we just vended our second show.
Yes.
So we know
we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat.
Obviously, we're not selling animals.
And we're not getting our animals into good homes. That's a whole other milestone that we have not achieved. You're working on it.
I need babies first.
I need babies first. But that's so exciting.
Yes. Yeah. Man. Congratulations.
Congrats. That's a big accomplishment.
And you just never know going into those shows like what it's going to be. Like you're like, am I going to sell any of these? Are there going to be anyone who's showing interest of being like a good home? Yeah. You just don't know.
You never know.
Getting my animals on TV. I need more details.
Wow.
I don't know what that all entails, but like, how cool is that?
That's like a dream. One time in my veterinarian's office, one of my vets was previously on like a Hulu show, and they did film me and Nilla, which was so cool, but it didn't make the cut because nothing exciting happened. It was just a very boring, basic checkup that alluded to nothing.
Which is good for Nilla.
Great
good
for
Nilla.
You. Great for us. But I was excited.
But like we need like the missing toe or the eye that's bulging out of the head.
Yeah,
you know,
but
the crazy stuff.
If this was you, DM us and let us know what TV show, because I'd love to go look at a clip. That's so cool.
Absolutely. Oh, this is a big one. Getting a ball python off a hunger strike in live feeders.
Big deal, man.
Huge milestone.
The dopamine that hits your brain when your snake finally like eats, and I've never even had an animal on a hunger strike, so I can't even relate to like that specifically. But Hazel is very difficult to feed.
She's a picky girl.
She's very picky. She likes specific, like her rats have to be just the right size. It's a whole thing. And I recently have gotten her several times. I've gotten her to try Reptilinks, and she actually went for that. And that was very exciting. And I've finally gotten her preferences down to where she usually eats on the first try. And the dopamine that hits your brain when that happens.
It's big.
I am so proud of you. That is such a big deal.
Yes. A lot of perseverance, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety.
Stress. Yes.
But you made it through.
We're proud of you.
keeping my first gecko alive and thriving in bioactive enclosure since day one.
Oh my gosh, that's so... See, then there's the flip side of it where like you've never had anything go wrong, and that's so cool.
Yes.
And I'm so happy for you.
Yes, but it's a testament that like
you did your research.
Yes, and you absolutely can go bioactive from the beginning. Yeah. We've definitely mentioned that like if that seems daunting for you, like don't feel pressured. You can start off naturalistic and you can work towards bioactive. But truly the differences between naturalistic and bioactive aren't that different, especially if you have live plants in your naturalistic.
It's just a matter of like if you don't have live plants, keeping live plants alive and keeping the cleanup crew alive.
The cleanup crew, yeah.
Which I struggle with sometimes too, but...
Yeah, especially those arid enclosures.
Yeah.
But that's a huge milestone, so congratulations. Okay, this one says a little bit of a deep one, but building up the courage to put a suffering animal to sleep. That's a really big milestone.
We've been there, unfortunately.
We both have been there.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that is, I'm literally tearing up.
Yeah.
That is like one of the hardest things, and that is... You worded that perfectly. That takes a lot of courage to work up, admitting that and admitting when it's time and knowing when it's time. We'll have a whole episode on that in the future. I don't think either of us are quite ready for that conversation.
Certainly not.
Clearly, because I'm tearing up even thinking about doing it.
Certainly not.
But that is a really big one. And we are very proud of you and we know just how hard that is.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And it's something that is a little bit of an honor. And I know it seems super twisted. Super twisted, but it's a testament to the care you've been able to provide for this animal, that if you get to a point where you get to make that decision for them, right? Yeah. And like,
their benefit.
Yes. And I don't think either of us can talk about it much more than that.
We need to move on very quickly.
But thank you for sharing that. That is a really big deal. Okay. Getting Cosmo out of Chameleon crash with Neptune in our vet's help. This says, thank you. So this is actually someone who booked a video call with me.
Oh.
And so when they say Chameleon crash, it's like when your reptile is kind of like off the deep end.
On the verge.
And you don't know. You truly don't know if they're going to like pull through or like just continue to decline. So this was a really unique scenario. They had been in like constant communication with their vet. They had booked time with me and like he's come through.
They were doing everything
side.
Right.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and so he's
cool.
on the up and up. So it's just like a really happy ending because it truly could have gone
either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we love that.
Either way. When others started coming to me for reptile advice.
That is, I have not thought about that as like a specific milestone, but that is such a specific milestone.
It absolutely is. And I remember to this day, the very first time on the Chameleon forums where I was like, reading, right? I was a lurker, but I wasn't like commenting. And the very first time someone asked a question, I was like, I know the answer.
I have the answer.
I probably spent like a good 30 minutes like crafting and rewriting and rereading my response and be like, hey, I think this is really good advice. I'm not sure though. And I sent it and it helped and it worked. And they said, thank you. And I'm like, and here we are now, many years later, and now I do this on a daily basis. But like, it is a big deal when someone looks to you and asks you for advice, and you feel confident in your answer.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a big one. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Producing all 3 species of retics.
Oh wow, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people focus specifically on just like one specific species or one specific morph or one specific, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you got the variety. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know the nuances of breeding retics, but
I don't either, but we're super proud of you. That's really cool.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this one says, my blue-tongued skinks no longer flee when I enter the room. It took years of work.
Oh, that's so, okay. So I'm totally assuming here. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that's like either an Indonesian or Halmahera blue-tongued skink or
Are they a little more
Merauke.
flighty?
Yes. So when it comes to blue-tongued skinks, there's northerns, which is what Nilla, mine is, but then there's also the others. There's so many species of blue-tongued skink. Just look it up. It's so cool. But the Indonesians and the Meraukes and the Halmaheras are the ones that are more like black in color and like black and gray and brown usually. But they are a lot more flighty. And that is a very big accomplishment because they can be real, they can be spicy, they can be flighty. Northerns are a little bit more like
They're known for being a smidge more docile.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they're ones that have been bred in captivity, I think longer and like more long term. So I think they're just a little bit more handleable usually, but that's a big deal if you've been working with them that long.
Years of work, dude. We get it.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
We totally understand that.
Ugh.
This one says being able to afford my dream species.
Even more.
Yay!
Yes. Even just so exciting. Oh, we love that.
Yep, that is a big deal. That's also
so
big
cool.
for like financial milestone and
big
goal,
accomplishment,
right? And if it's your dream species, like that comes with like their enclosure and care and
everything,
everything else
all
that
the big
goes with
stuff.
it. So like, congratulations.
Yeah.
This one says, not really a milestone for the last 3 years. I've had reptiles. Everyone is so nice and I've made friendships.
Honestly, that's a milestone for the hobby.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. And I think I will say there is a lot of positivity and a lot of negativity that can come in any hobby, in any community.
So true.
100%, always. That I don't think that will ever change. But I do feel like the hobby has gotten and is making more of an active effort to be more welcoming, more kind.
Yeah, inclusive for sure.
More inclusive, a lot less of the...
supportive, encouraging.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot less of the like bashing new people.
Still happens.
Still happens. We're not saying it's perfect, but I feel like I've seen less of it.
I agree with that.
Which is very exciting. So we're very happy that you have felt welcomed and everybody's been nice and that you've made friends. It's a big deal.
Yes. This one says, getting my rescue animals healthy. I've spent over $4,000 at the vet on one animal.
Dude, that's a huge accomplishment.
Rescuing is not for the faint of heart.
No, it is not. That is a big
The
deal.
emotional toll, the physical toll,
The mental toll,
the financial toll to take on rescues
Yes.
is such an admirable thing to do.
Yes.
And you literally have no idea what you're signing up for when you take in a rescue. You could think you know based off of what the person tells you, but like things still pop up and you also don't know how long you're going to be caring for that animal until you can find them a new home. And like so much admiration for you and for anyone who rescues because that's like such a commitment to the animal and their well-being, and like thank you for everything that you do.
Truly. I would love to eventually get to a point where I could do like some possible like foster situations and do all of that, because I just think that's such like rewarding work, and I just we're so happy for you and just thank you so much for everything.
Yes, I hope they're doing okay.
Yeah.
After all that.
Yeah.
Okay, when my pets choose to be near me and trust me enough to jump crawl towards me. Choice-based handling.
We love choice-based handling. Somebody actually on TikTok just this past week tagged me in a choice-based handling video with their leopard gecko, and it's so cute. Oh, I love it.
That is a big milestone for sure.
It is. I mean,
for sure.
I've had Charlie since I was like 16 years old, my leopard gecko, and like he still sometimes I'll hold my hand out and sometimes he's like, no. And I'm like, all right, fine. Like,
does my heart break a little
like,
every time?
For sure. But sometimes he does choose. And it's like amazing. But yeah.
This is on the same kind of track. It says the first time my snake decided to come out of his enclosure on his own. He's shy. Again, another great example of choice-based handling.
Big deal.
Being able to provide above minimum requirements for some of my reptiles. Yes.
We love to see it.
Yes.
Big deal.
Yeah, and minimums are always a funky thing, right? It's like whatever you can like afford, and I don't mean just financially, I also mean like space wise, care wise, whatever is the best level of care you can provide, regardless of what the care sheets say.
And I think we've, not to go off on like a whole tangent, and I promise I'll keep it brief, but like, because I do have like a 3-minute TikTok on this topic if you want to go check that out. But I think minimums have gotten a little bit out of control, where like there is a minimum and some minimums can be.
There's a minimum and then a recommended.
Exactly. And I think there's a big difference. And I think sometimes people forget that the recommended size isn't always the true minimum. And there's also a big difference between a minimum of a 36 by 18 by 18 for, say, a leopard gecko that is like full of clutter, full of enrichment, full of things, versus like a 4-foot enclosure that's completely bare with nothing. So like
that's such a good point.
It's so finicky. It really depends on your setup, what you have in there, the enrichment that you provide. Anyway, that's my soapbox.
Yes. But yeah, just think of like and minimum, like no one wants to do the minimum, right? But just recognize that like there are a lot of nuances and it's not a black and white situation. And there are, the recommended would be as big as possible. Of course. But like that's not feasible for a lot of people. It's not
always realistic. Yeah.
So we do the best that we can. So if you feel amazing with like what you're doing for your reptiles, then we're
so proud of you.
Yes. That's what it comes down to. Yes. First bioactive tank did it for me thanks to Lyssa.
Oh, wait, I'll cry. That's so sweet. Ugh, I love to see it.
Yes.
It makes me so happy.
For the win.
We love it.
Earning my leopard gecko's trust to the point she comes... Words. Earning my leopard gecko's trust to the point she comes to see me consistently.
That's so sweet.
I think I said that right. But again... Love that. Building relationships, building that trust is like truly a big win.
Even though Charlie doesn't always choose to come out, he always comes to the front of the enclosure and says hi. So it makes all the difference.
Take the wins.
Yes.
Getting my royal python and corn snakes in 4x2x2 bioactive enclosures.
Big deal. So proud of you. That's huge. Especially like I was just saying with the clutter and whatnot, a 4-foot enclosure is a lot of space to fill out. So good for you.
Especially that 2 foot, right? I think people underestimate like building things up. As someone who keeps exclusively arboreal species, that's like very much where I thrive. And I understand the challenges of getting filling vertical space.
Filling vertical space is very hard, especially for like snakes and things like that. Like more power to you. That's a big deal.
Every time my snakes have healthy, complete sheds.
Always.
A win.
Always.
Little big trophies. Deal. Rehabilitating my Aki monitor from his previous owner.
Oh, wow. I love Aki monitors. That's so cool. But also rehab and rescue. Big deal.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of like trauma, right, that comes with it. And sometimes unknowns when you take in an animal where you don't know what their previous care was. So that's an additional challenge when you're caring for them is you're sometimes having to reverse improper care that they've experienced. Okay. The last one, learning species and morphs and identifying them correctly when out and about.
Okay, that is such a fun one because like on the scale of certain things, like not to scale these, that sounds like it's a small one, but that is like such a fun thing.
Yeah.
When you're like new in the hobby and you're like learning all these things and being able to be like, I know what that is such a moment.
Absolutely.
And it like I said, it may feel small, but that is so cool. Cause like I'll never forget when I started going to expos and being like, that's a Hog Island boa. And I know because its tail is different. It doesn't look like that one. And
No, I remember when I could tell the difference between boa heads.
Yes.
From like a python head versus a boa head are like two very different shapes.
Yep.
And like a boa tongue versus a python tongue are also different.
The heat pits in the front. Like, yes. Yeah, very different.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely am getting flashbacks to when we were first going to expos like over 5 years ago. And you knew a lot more about different species than I did. And even to this day, absolutely.
Right.
But like, I didn't even know like the most basic stuff yet. Because especially for snakes, I like didn't know anything about snakes really. Yeah. And like, I remember having like asking you questions and not gonna lie, like kind of feeling a little dumb,
oh, really?
Right? Not because of you, but just because
I'm like, I don't want to make you feel that way.
No. Just because I was like, what's this? And no one wants to, and everyone else is like, oh, it's a blah, blah, blah.
If it makes you feel any better, I have no memory of this and I did not care whatsoever about answering any of the questions.
Oh, and I know, it was very much a me thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like not knowing the answer, but I'm like, the only way I'm going to get the answer is if I ask the question.
Yeah.
Right. And that's true of any learning.
Yeah.
And so like, and then I got to learn more and more and you would volunteer stuff. You're like, oh, this species is really cool because of this, and this.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I just loved,
good to know.
I just wanted to like gab all the info. Yes. I was info dumping on you.
And I was just a sponge, just soaking it
yeah.
all in. Right. And this is back when we would go to expos and we would just like stop and chat to like different vendors. And so we're just learning and asking questions and like, they're so happy to chat with us because like
sometimes I miss those days, man.
It's very different.
It's very different.
It's very different than what we do now. So it's like it's a little nostalgic to think about that. But so we know what it's like.
We're totally so happy for you. It's so cool when you start to learn all the little things. I love it.
Yeah, and same with like wild species. I don't know if when you're saying like you're able to identify them when you're out and about. I don't know if that's like if you're herping or at shows, but being able to also recognize like local species or when I went to Hawaii and I was like, that's a day gecko.
Yes.
And like knew what it was is also a cool feeling.
And in the same vein, I'm now at a point where all my friends and family anybody who knows me that has my phone number, they will text me random pictures of like snakes in their yard.
Oh yeah, I get all the lizard pictures.
Like I get all of the things, and people are like, what is this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I can find out. So
absolutely.
But sometimes I get them right. Like at least once I had a friend's dad send me a picture of a snake that he had found in the yard. And he was like, it's not venomous, is it? And I was like, you used the correct word. I'm very proud of you. And no, it is a speckled king snake. You are fine.
He's like, thanks.
Yeah. So it's fun when you get to do that stuff. And when you start to like have all the knowledge, you feel excited.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
But we are so proud of each and every one of you. Yes. And I hope this is exciting. Even if you didn't have a chance to submit your specific milestone and win, I hope you take a moment to just pause and celebrate those. Because again, we both know personally how difficult it can be to be your own worst enemy and be constantly comparing yourself, to your point, either against yourself or other keepers or who you want to be in the future. So like one step at a time, take the wins, and we are so proud of you.
We're so happy for you. It just warms our hearts.
Yeah. Truly. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. She's got to go catch a flight.
Run.
We're going to wrap this up. As always, you can follow me everywhere on social media at Neptune the Chameleon.
And me everywhere at Lyssa's Lizards.
You can check out the podcast at the Wild Type Podcast. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe, give us a follow, drop us a comment, whatever your thoughts are on all these topics. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, girlies.